Chamgech tap kalenjin itagaten tetutap health watch kaine nyungo Karen Cheriot ag embed tutabraini kemiten ak CEO nebo Angaza Counseling Center Wendy Chepto ogimache kengalalen agobo mental health en gasisiek anan go en ofisisiek. Welcome to the show, Wendy.
Thank you so much, Karen.
Today we are talking about mental health in the office.
Yes.
Why is it important and what are the progressive stages of mental health at the office?
Okay, so when you say mental health at the office, yeah, I think you're mentioning about the mental stability of staff.
Yeah.
And this affects it from the top level to the lower level. And the progress of mental health, you know, you can start from being a healthy person where you're so okay to a point where everything around you irritates you, so like you react to everything around you, even greetings becomes a problem. You find someone saying, I'm not a morning person for no apparent reason.
I need coffee before I start my morning.
I need coffee, I can't function without coffee. And you know, it progresses step by step to a point where you can really tell that this person is going through something. So yeah, it starts from the healthy part to a point where, you know, reactive, like you're reacting to everything around you to a point where now there are some damages or there are some injuries where you can tell, here there is a challenge and maybe it's time we did something, or as the colleagues or as the management or as their supervisor, you can tell there's a problem and maybe it's time I intervened. Yeah.
As a colleague or a supervisor,
Yes.
does that mean that you have to be close enough in order to realize that this person has a problem, this person is naturally like that, keeping also in mind that there are people who withdraw from others
Yes.
when they are having, when they're not okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
So say, let's talk of maybe as the employer, as the supervisor or as the manager, you have the people who report to you. And there are very many things that you should be keen on so as to be able to tell there is a problem. So first, before we even think of the point where maybe the things that you should do in order to make sure the mental health of your staff is good, maybe what is this that you can see and then you can tell my people are not doing good. So one thing of one of the symptoms that you can see that this person is really not okay mentally, or even if not mentally, physically, or but now we are talking about mental health. Someone can start missing work, like they always get a reason, flimsy reasons here and there. And this is someone who's really, you know, the person who comes to the office daily, doesn't miss. It's only their leave days that they take. At times you even have to force them to take their leave days. But now it gets to a point where they have even exhausted their leave days. They are now asking for days sick off. They have an emergency. Like there's always a reason why they have to miss work. Another thing is their productivity goes down. Maybe this is someone who used to give quality work. Let's take for instance, as for you now, you are in TV. Their editing was perfect, you know. There are no errors. There is no a second take. Like whatever they edit, once and final. Reviewing it, you don't have to go back to the editing studio, but suddenly this is someone that you have to send them to edit second, third, fourth time, to a point where you have to do it yourself. So their productivity has also gone down and the quality of work has gone down. Then these are people who someone can no longer make decisions, like they are poor in making decisions. Yet this was someone who was independent, like they could make decisions on their own. By the time they are going to the manager or their supervisor, they already have something set out. But for now, it's like their judgment is really getting poor, like they can't decide or they can't make sane decisions on their own. Then another thing is this is someone who maybe they get into harmful behaviors. Maybe someone starts drinking too much, you know, today they are coming to the office, they have a black eye, the next day they have something on their wrist, a bandage because they got hurt somewhere, the next day they have a cut on their faces, or they have some bruises, you know. So maybe it's alcohol, they get hurt, it's fights, yeah, or it could be even fights with their partners back at home, like someone is just no longer themselves. There are some people who also get sleepy, like unampata mtu kwa desk, they are resting on their desk, yet this is not the person you are used to. This is not the person that they were before. Then another thing is they no longer have motivation. They get withdrawn from their people. Maybe you used to have office hangouts, but suddenly this person like finds all the reasons again to miss these things. This is someone who used to take part in conversation, but there is now a social disengagement, like they are no longer there. They are no longer interested in even the small talks in the office, the groups that used to be there, like someone has just gone. Maybe you used to have a WhatsApp group for the office, gossip, politics and all that, but this is someone who suddenly loses interest in everything. Yeah, that is when you can say, okay, there is a problem here. Yeah.
When we talk of mental health,
Yes.
the different types of issues that as a counselor you handle.
Yes.
What are the common issues that are related to the work office that you've dealt with over the course of your career?
Okay, so one thing that I can say it happens is anxiety. And anxiety most of the times is brought in by changes. You know, change is inevitable, and organizations they change monthly, yearly, like there are changes that come in. And these changes, it could include restructuring, downsizing, and you get anxious. And anxiety is also a mental health challenge because you can't function well when you are anxious. You don't know about tomorrow. You don't know is this downsizing going to affect my position? Is this restructuring going to affect my position? Maybe after this restructuring, my position will no longer be needed. My roles will be done by someone else. And you know how technology, the technology nowadays is taking over a lot of things. So such things, you are not so sure. So yeah, so that is organizational restructuring. Another thing that also brings anxiety is okay, we can talk of anxiety, stress, depression. We can talk of loneliness, because loneliness can also be a problem, fatigue, burnouts. And so with all those, the causatives of these things, there is micromanagement, where as a boss, as a manager, as a supervisor, you don't give a chance to your juniors or to the people that report to you to do what they know, because even if you are a manager, it's not like you know everything. There is a reason this other person is there, and it shows that they are capable enough. That's why they are there. So if you micromanage them, like they have to report to you. If they are writing a news article, after each sentence, it's like they have to come back to you and ask you, is this okay, is this okay? And you also have to go back, and like your nose is deep into their business, deep into their work. So manage someone, definitely they won't deliver well. They won't trust in themselves, and they'll always be anxious. They are not so sure if whatever they are doing, is it right? Will I be told to go back and redo it? Will I have to start from zero? Another thing apart from micromanagement is the workload. And you know, I can't say deadlines which don't make sense. You can't give me a 2 hours item to edit and you want me to give it back to you within a day. And this editing, it's not about maybe removing the silent parts or adding some effects. It's a lot of things. There are some graphics I have to add. There are some text I have to add. At times maybe I should be adding the translations, and you expect me to give it to you within the day that you've given me. So I'll be working under pressure. I'll be tense, and I won't be able to think straight, and this brings in burnouts. This also brings in fatigue and stress, and someone can't function well if they are not stable. Another thing that also can be a problem is harassment and intimidation. Because if you're intimidating me, you're showing me that you're so powerful, you're showing me that there is nothing that I can do. If you do wrong to me, I can't take you anywhere. Huwezi nipeleka mahali, ng'ang'ana tu hapo. And it becomes a challenge. I'll always be scared. I won't believe in myself because I'll be seeing myself as the small fish, like I'm just here. Like if you do me any wrong, you are my boss, you have the final say. And definitely it will be a problem. It will affect their productivity. It will also affect how they are in the office. And another thing is, if the organization provides social support to their employers, to their employees, sorry. So if you don't know what's happening, maybe someone has lost their loved one, it's none of your business. Like, you're just there and you expect them to report to work. Yes, there is the compassionate leave, but you know, people deal with loss differently. You're not still providing the support. Do you feel okay to come to the office? How about even seeking mental health support from a professional for this person to deal with whatever challenge? It's not only loss, but whatever challenge they're going through, so that they can be able to function well. But you know, you bring in the stigmatization of mental health, where this is nothing big. If it's someone, kwa mwanaume, come to the office, and you pushing them down further in the trail that they were in. And yeah, for social support also, how about having, you know, something like weekly meetings, monthly meetings, where you're checking in on your staff, where you know where the challenge could be. But the moment there is this in the relationship between you and your staff, or between you and your employees, there is this, it's like it's so opaque. They can't get to you, and if even they can get to you, they are so scared of you. They don't know, what if I talk, and the next retrenchment, the next, the next restructuring, what if it will affect me, because they'll see I'm not productive enough. So someone will just die their slow death when it comes to their mental health. Yeah.
I know we've talked about the effects that mental health can have on the productivity of an employee.
Yes.
But for an employee who's constantly bombarded by these risk factors,
Yes.
Ultimately, I believe it will affect them, their well-being,
Yes.
their health, their physical health. Probably you can tell us how these can manifest.
Okay.
The physical manifestations.
Okay, I think I'd mentioned earlier on about the absenteeism, the low productivity.
But I'm talking in terms of their health.
Their health.
Yes.
Okay. So another thing is people start developing different things, different complications, because there are some complications that come up because of poor mental health. Like, someone can start complaining of headaches, like unending migraines. They can't tell, but they're always there. For some people, it's even stomach upsets. Day in, day out, stomach upsets. They can't tell. For some people, they're always fatigued, like just tired. They can't do a thing. For some people now is losing interest in the things that they used to do. Like, they're always tired. Like, I can't even look at the screen for 5 minutes because I don't feel like it. And there are people who, you know, someone has gotten into alcoholism, it's becoming an addiction. They are having now the symptoms of like being dependent on alcohol, shivering. So if I'm operating a camera and I'm always shivering, I can't function without alcohol, yet I can't get to the office with alcohol. You know, I'll always be shivering, the quality of my work will go down. And another thing, you know, some people can self-harm themselves. You can find someone who has cuts in their hands, and it's because that is how they deal with their anxiety, that's how they deal with their stress. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, for this, let's go back to this employee who's faced with this environment, negative environment.
Yes.
How can he or she protect himself while working? Because right now, as an adult, people have to work.
Yes.
You ultimately have to go back to that workspace.
Yes.
So how can you protect yourself?
Okay, so as an individual, you should be, there's self-awareness. You should know when you've hit a corner. Like you can tell when you can't take it anymore, and you can tell when you are being suffocated by something. So you are aware. And say, apart from self-awareness, you should also be assertive. Learn to say no. Learn to set your boundaries. If something that you're being given is unreasonable, if some deadlines that you're being given is unreasonable, if the workload that you're being given is unreasonable, you speak. Just say it, because at the end of the day, it's you will get hurt, and it's you is going to have to do that work. So what if you say, if you give me 1 day to finish this, it's not enough, kindly add me another day, or even some few hours in the next day. So if I was supposed to give you this by 5 p.m. today, how about I give it to you by noon tomorrow? Because another thing, if you let them win, if you let your bosses see that, you know, you end up working hard, you become fatigued, you become burnt out, yet they don't know. So how about you speak? By the time you're saying, I'm scared of them, okay, so you've approached them someday and they had to tell you something. They told you, no, you have to do it. Yeah, so talk to them, like speak out, be assertive. Say no if you can't do it, and also know your limits. If you're so tired, how about resting and do it the next day when you're fresh enough? Yeah. How about requesting for support, requesting for help from your fellow team members? How about asking for time out, maybe to go for even if you need a therapist? How about asking your employer if they can provide for such support? Because I think the notion that people have nowadays is that therapy is expensive, and you know, I can't talk. How can I pay to go talk to someone? And I don't see the need. I've been talking every day and I'm not, So what someone should also know is that when it comes to therapy, there's confidentiality and there's professionalism, such that the person you're going to talk to is someone who is trained to give you support when it comes to these. So believe in it, because also, you know, if you don't believe in something, it won't help you. So all that can help you deal with the point where you're feeling, you know, you can't take it anymore.
And for the employer, how can they ensure that the working environment this employee is in isn't hampering their mental state?
Okay, so for the employer, I think one thing is believe in the people that they've brought in to help them with the work. Believe in your employees. So one, stop micromanaging. Let them do. For the correction, do it, but not that point of your nose is always there. Like, there is no point the office will stay for more than 2 hours without you getting there, because you want to know, like, you have to tell me at the end of each day what you've done, or you have to tell me at the end of each task, like, I should see it, like, this is what you should do. And you can't give me a task with instructions on how to do it. Give me the task. I was employed to do it, so definitely I'll give you as I know it should be done, because if this is the job I'll rely on, so definitely I'll put in my best. Another thing is, I think employers, or I believe employers should also have some wellness programs for their employees, where they can sit and talk. They can even go out there for team buildings where there is no manager, there is no junior staff, there is no supervisor, there is no associate. Like, we are all the same. Let's have some fun together. You know, you'll be building some relationship. And also provide mental health talks, like create awareness amongst your employees that mental health is really essential. Invite professionals, mental health, who can talk about the signs that they should look into, who can talk of self-care tips, maybe as an employee or as an employer, this is what you should do. And also another thing is empower your employees. to know that there are places they can go for therapy, and if possible maybe you can also provide some contact that in case of anything you can contact these people and we assure you of confidentiality. Because another thing that these employees maybe will fear going out there for help is because they feel if I go, maybe they'll come back to my employer, and you know, if it's is hurting you, you can't talk about them because you're not so sure the relationship between the therapist and the employer. So you should provide that space for them to know that if they go out, it's between them and their therapist, it won't come back to them. Another thing is find ways of motivating employees, stop the harassment, and you know, the way they hire, definitely there is this junior staff, there is the supervisor and the manager. So there should be this open communication for all of them, such that this junior staff knows maybe if it's the supervisor, if I go to the manager about my problem, they'll be able to help me. Not that if I go to the manager, we'll come back to the supervisor and now the two will gang up against me. So about creating somehow good environment for everyone, an equal environment for everyone. Yes, we know there are different positions and each position comes in with their own powers. So what if I know your position, I respect it, how about you also know my position and respect it? Because when there is respect, there'll also be peaceful coexistence. Yes.
Thank you so much. Now, with in mind, what would your parting shot be concerning this?
Okay, so what I would say is mental health is important, and as I'd said earlier on, without good mental health, without stable mental health, the productivity will be affected. It doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter if it's in a TV production, these are the jobs in the corporate world. We all need a stable mental health, and it doesn't always mean if your employee has a mental problem, it doesn't mean that the problem starts from the office. It could be a problem they're facing at home. So about, I think, or I believe most companies, most employers should nowadays embrace providing easily accessible mental health services to their employees. There should be wellness plans or even meetings, some things like that, where employees can easily seek support. And they should provide an environment where the employees are peaceful, where the employees are free, and where the employees have been let to do what they were employed for. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Wendy.
You're welcome.
Chitab kalenjin ongetuyen ewiki nenyone stage much kengalal agobo tetutik alak cheterter chetinyegei ak borwekyok. Kainenyu ko Karen Cheriot.